What the Heck's your source for Warhammer Underworlds. In under 30 times, you just said, what the hell, I'll just charge. I'm your co-host, Davy, and with me, I have my worthy skull of a co-host, Phil. How are you doing, Phil?
Ready to spill blood in the name of corn.
And I have my maybe enraged, maybe not, depending on which power card you played, co-host, Skylar. How are you, Skylar?
Doing well. Excited to excited to tackle the content.
For your context, we are coming to you on the 13th of July. That I should say that's when we're recording. So this is just about 5 or 6 days before this episode will drop, in which time Kamandora's Blades and Raging Slayers, those will have come out on pre-order. We, of course, got to see them early in order to be able to make this content. For that, we have to make sure we say thanks to Games Workshop for making that possible. Thanks also to the folks who contribute to the Patreon and make some other things possible, like coverage of events. More to follow on that, hopefully. We're still working out some details of whether we're going to be asked to / able to cover Worlds this year. But that's a story for a later time. Obviously, we're covering this new release. Blades and Slayers is the shorthand we have used here in order to make it sure that I have to try to remember the names myself. Before we jump into that, does anybody have a community shout out they want to throw out there?
Yeah. So I'll just say the WTC, which I believe stands for World Team Championships, just wrapped up probably about a week ago now. And if you want to see all the decks that were played in that tournament, head on over to the Staggerers blog. They have a deck repository where they have listed out all the decks from all the different teams for the different countries that were competing. Mm-hmm. So some high level play there, and so some pretty spicy decks.
Yeah, and I think one thing to keep in mind when you're looking at those decks, A, it's really fun to look at different decks. B, there are decks that are created in the context of a team event, so they may have a particular skew. So you may see something you're like, I can't believe like this did, okay, like, well, if you can control some of the matchups, maybe that makes it more powerful. But that's what makes that team concept so interesting. Yeah. I'll say Emmett has already dug in there, and he just to try something different. He's back on Git, so he's got to change something up. And so he was trying out somebody, I wish I was giving them credit, but somebody had a deck that was a Pillage and Plunder plus Rack and Ruin pairing. And I know that that is a pairing I think is near and dear to Skylar's heart. But
very much so.
When you include it with a sort of mobile damage bubble like Snurk Sourtongue, a lot of those get pretty interesting. So I kept on saying, you would play damned if you do. I'm like, I literally am. Like, I will either take a damage or you will push me into Snurk's bubble.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then Confusion's in there as well. So that is also a way to generate extra stuff with Snurk. So yeah, pretty rude. Pretty rude.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was a very different take. It was cool. I don't know that it was necessarily more powerful. It's certainly the scoring was slightly slower, though, because Rack and Ruin didn't have a restricted card. It meant that Delving for Wealth was back on the table, back on the menu. So
yeah, solid.
So it's cool. Yep. What else? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, since this is team content, we do have a team tournament that we will be doing, hosting, coming up here in a couple months. It'll be mid-September-ish. I don't remember the date exactly off the top of my head. Hoping some folks are excited for doing a team tournament. I don't think we've had anybody actually coordinate a team yet, so we'll have to start bugging people about that.
That'd be September 13th and 14th.
13th and 14th.
Yep. Okay. We're going to start pinning teams together here shortly to make sure that the numbers are way trickier when you're doing a team event than they are
100%
with singles.
Absolutely. And if you want to join us, you don't have to have a team. We'd love to plug you into one. We plan to be free agents ourselves so that we can get teams of 3 up and running.
Yeah. And if you want your team to have a free win, then you can get signed up with my son, who will inevitably end up playing me and just wreck me. What else we got? I wanted to give a shout out. I am guilty of not spending as much time with these content creators as I have in the past, and I got back to them. Was reminded how much I very much enjoy them. That would be the Agents of Sigmar. They have a Battle of the Bads series going on right now, where they are taking the quote unquote worst war bands, or the war bands that they think are the lowest on the tier, and then playing them against each other, and whichever one loses, that advances in the bracket, and they will get a champion of all bads. So I thought that was pretty fun. And they're working through that series now. Anybody, anything else?
Yeah, if you're in the mood for battle reports, another option for you to enjoy is Cinderfall Gaming. They're continuing to crank out battle reports, and the latest one up is Knives of the Crone versus Jaws of Itzel.
Oh man, so. That is the one side inspires, the other doesn't match up. So.
Yep. Very much so.
Cool. Well, it sounds like we some good content for folks once they get done with this. If you still got some hunger for Underworlds, then you can go ahead for that. I am gonna scamper past the what the heck is going on with you, because we got 2 different releases to cover here. So
absolutely.
My suggestion is that we start with Kamandora's Blades. Does that sound good to you guys?
That sounds good, and sounds extremely professional, by the way, to announce that you're going to jump past what the heck is going on with you, and actually do so for time management purposes.
Who would ever do otherwise?
Yeah. Well, all right, Kamandora's Blades. Let's. This is a 5-fighter war band. They are chaos, and being dedicated to Khorne, I don't think we have to work too hard on figuring out the archetype. In this case, aggro or strike. I mean, I guess it's worth saying that I ran a lot of Gore Chosen of Drum in first edition, and they were not necessarily aggro like in one of their stronger builds. It was control. So I guess it's not a given. And I suppose there is even a little bit of a control aspect here, which we will get into a little bit.
Yeah. So like on first read for them, they look control aggro to me, but I don't have the hands on yet.
Yeah, well, let's take a quick second to talk about the miniatures. I know that when they dropped images of them, that was a pretty controversial. What do you guys think of these folks? They've got some pretty unique faces, we'll say.
They're goofy.
This is definitely leaning more into the weird side of Warhammer rather than like the dark. Like, I mean, I guess it's still pretty dark, but like it doesn't come across as like, oh god, that's like terrifying. It's more like, oh, these guys look really weird. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing, but they don't have lips. So I guess that's like the main thing with their faces that bugs me.
Yeah.
They're just teeth and there's no lips.
It's a little unclear if they cut away their own lips or if it's like a mutation thing.
I was kind of thinking about that when I was looking at the cards at first too, and like, so there's the big guy with the axe. His name is Throck, and he's got like these spines that are growing out of him. Mm-hmm. And so my thought was, well, okay, so they're starting to be like affected by chaos, I guess, because this guy's got all these spines growing out of him, but he's the only one. So it's like, I don't know, are all their faces like mutated, or are they just weirdos who cut off their lips?
Yeah.
So
maybe both.
Could be both.
And this is a funny thing for me to like latch onto, because it is present in a ton of other Warhammer stuff, but I think it was just a combination of like, what is going on with that face? And then my attention was drawn up to the giant skull sitting on top of every one of their heads as like a top knot securer. And I was like, that is very Warhammer in the
so Warhammer.
The background on these guys actually is that they're living in Aqshy in this waste after that Korgus Cole is despoiled. So it's like this, awful chaos hellscape sort of thing, and they are collecting up more skulls, trying to finish up this pyramid at the site of where Korgus Cole became a demon prince. That's a little Age of Sigmar background for you. But I think what I like about this warband in general, setting aside one, I was a big fan of Garrick's Reavers, and they're clearly like on that scale of things. But this isn't like three, like some of these elites or something, or like if you think about what is it, the Storm Coven, they were like 3 hero level Stormcast. Like this is like 4 schmoes and their dog.
Yep.
And something's really appealing about that to me. So it feels like the right scale for a skirmish game,
Yep, absolutely. And I think, like, despite them being weird, I appreciate them like leaning more into like unique flavor that we haven't really seen before.
Mm-hmm.
The Reavers are the unit for Khorne in Age of Sigmar that is just like the regular old just guys, and most of them are just like humans with axes. It's about as far as they go to being like Khorne, as they have an axe. Whereas they were like, well,
what more do you want?
These guys are gathering a bunch of skulls, so we're gonna like make them look like headhunters, and they're gonna be really fanatic-y and weird.
Kamandora actually has this weird backpack on that is full of skulls. So
it's like both a backpack, but it's also spikes that you stick the skulls on. I don't completely understand it, but it's certainly a choice.
Yeah, Khorne's the god of war, not the god of storage solutions. So we won't worry about it too much. So. Well, let's talk about this warband. You guys, I think the right place to start is the war scroll here. We'll get into the fighters.
I think so too. It gives a lot of context to everything else for the warband, I think.
Because this is Underworlds, I think an important place to start is normally with the Inspire, but the Inspire is going to ask us about a particular thing. So let's actually start with a worthy skull. Phil, you want to take that for us?
Yeah. So I'll point out, I'm not going to read all the flavor text that they put on this, but this is one of the first war scrolls that they've done that, like, all the abilities, I think all of them have flavor text, which is actually kind of cool. So
is that not the norm?
I don't think so.
Huh.
Not for everything.
I've imagined that to be the norm, but I like you tend to like look at it once and then look past it.
So I just at a random grasp, I picked up Dread Pageant, Grimwatch, Cunning Crew, and Thundrix Profiteers, and they all have a blurb on there.
Well, never mind. Ignore me. I'm just crazy. So anyway, a worthy skull. So this is like going to be the main driving ability for the whole warband, and it says, at the start of the first action step in each battle round, if there are any enemy fighters on the battlefield, you must pick an enemy fighter to be the worthy skull until the end of the battle round. Pretty straightforward. You're just picking an enemy fighter.
What's interesting about this is that, a number of things about how it works with the other abilities, but you could pick one fighter, and then if they're not dead, you can be like, somebody else is the worthy skull this next round.
Yep.
I kind of misread that. Yeah. And I assumed that it had to stay as the same one until they're dead, and that's not true. So
gives you some flexibility.
Yeah.
Especially since, like, at the start of the first action step, it could be your turn, could be their turn. So like if it's their turn, they could just run that one to a corner and be like, okay, we'll be here for the rest of the round.
Yeah. And that's another good point. That's a really interesting timing window, right? Like you already know who's going first at this point, because that's my understanding is that the roll off will have been made. Somebody will have picked, and then right before they start that action step, you will declare this. So As far as like start a game stuff goes, that's a fairly flexible window.
Very much so.
So what? Let's start with the. Let's go. Skylar, why don't you pick one of the abilities that kind of keys off of that? There's really two that interact with that.
Yeah. So the one I'll jump on is Slaughterous Pilgrimage. Immediately after you pick an enemy fighter to be the worthy skull, you must push each friendly fighter 1 hex closer to the enemy worthy skull, which I love.
Yeah.
I at first when I read it, I like you like build this picture that you're kind of like anticipating, and then like you let the rules soak in, and you're like, okay, wait, no, so this is actually how it works. And as like I was kind of like forming the picture at first, I was like, so every time they kill somebody, they then pick a new skull and they like push towards the new skull, like like this battle drum.
Oh boy.
And that would probably be like just wildly like powerful. So toned in a good way and like an interesting way still, where like this is something that's happening at the beginning of each round. You're getting this push, but also it's a must on each of your friendly fighters, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. So there's a lot of positioning to consider there. In my experience, the Hound Canat ended up getting staggered quite a bit by this, because I was like, somebody's going to have to accidentally wander into a snare hex, and it's going to be you, Canat. And then if you are playing against someone that has a spinning metal ball of death, you have to be careful not to accidentally just wander in and get yourself greased in the head by...
oh, yeah. It's unfortunate.
So, by Snurk. But a warband-wide push is great. Warband-wide mandatory push is... something that you really have to think about exactly what it puts a lot of consideration into who that worthy skull is going to be, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's worth adding right now that everyone's movement is 4. So you're already pretty fast. And so that push is going to be some pretty incredible reach.
The other ability that's important for knowing who the worthy skull is, and this actually also interacts with this push in good ways, is immediately after a power step, inspire each friendly fighter adjacent to the enemy worthy skull. Also, second sentence, immediately after the enemy worthy skull is slain by a friendly fighter, inspire that fighter. That window, the immediately after a power step, that's either side's power step. That's about as generous an inspire window as we see.
Absolutely.
So you can use power guards to get the inspire, and as we'll see when we go through the fighters, all of them generally like the inspire pretty well. Some of them really, really like it, and so especially in a later round where you're already kind of up in the mix, you can maybe get like a pretty chunky inspire off of if you have the first action step. Everyone kind of crowds around and then pops off an inspire.
Center of Retention reprint when?
Yes, please.
So I was, when I first read this, I was trying to think through like, okay, so this is a strike warband. You're just going to be like charging guys in, and then they'll be standing there and they'll get inspired. And it's like, that's pretty straightforward. But then I thought some more about Slaughterous Pilgrimage and like, have we ever seen anything quite like this before? And the closest thing I could think of was the push at the beginning of the game from Headcrack as Mad Mob, which was specifically towards the enemy leader. But you, as Skylar did many a time, you would set up in such a way that you could be pushing on to multiple tokens at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And it immediately had my brain going to like, okay, maybe this is not just a strike warband. Maybe there's like something here for some positional stuff, because being able to just be on like 2 or 3 tokens immediately at the beginning of the game is pretty strong.
Yeah. how this works as well is I think it's gonna feel different depending on whether you're playing against a horde warband or something more elite.
Absolutely.
Because if you're playing against a lot of little stuff, what I found, I'd be like, hey, Dibs, guess what? You're the worthy skull. And then everybody would run next to Dibs to stab somebody else and be like, I'm just hanging with my best boy Dibs here and he's inspiring me,
Yep.
And then to put this pressure on, like, Dibs is not your best action right now, like not your best activation, but you might want to move Dibs away so that I don't keep farming inspires off of it. So there was a push pull there as far as positioning that fighter. Against someone elite, you might just go in and attack and then like, nah, you're fine. You can stand there and I will inspire immediately after. And almost everybody on the Inspire gets defensive buffs, which takes some of the sting out of leaving a fighter adjacent to you instead of driving back.
Yeah.
So that's cool. The Inspire is pretty important in this warband, and so picking the target here is a pretty pivotal thing. And you're kind of doing two things. You're like, hey, I want the stuff that's going to push me in a direction that I want to go, and I also want one that will help me set up some Inspires.
Yeah, to continue to sprinkle in stats a little bit. Like you're on 1 dodge with most of these until you Inspire, and then you're on 2 dodge.
Yeah,
and that's a huge swing in the defensive world.
Mm-hmm.
And you're usually unlocking some damage too. So it's pretty crucial.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And then, I was kind of pushing on like, hey, look, it makes things challenging for the opponent because they've got to decide like, well, am I retreating with this, even though it's not the best use of my action here? It also puts weird choices in the hands of the Blades player because you're like, normally you would not voluntarily give a flank to somebody. Right. But here I found myself doing it. I'm like, hey, and bring up Dibs again. Like, Dibs, you can flank me on this because I would rather be slightly less accurate on this attack and instead get the Inspire on the backside.
Yeah, really interesting. I'm pretty excited to like mess around with this warband. I just feel like it's an extremely flexible kit. I like all of the different positioning elements to it. The little bit of control play that we're going to talk about here shortly. And to kind of continue the theme of like adjacencies, I'll highlight Call the Pursuit. So this ability, use this in your power step instead of playing a power card. Pick a friendly minion, push that fighter up to 4 hexes so it is adjacent to a friendly leader. This ability can only be used once per game. And so our only minion is Kanat. This is the good boy, who I want to highlight is a literal bulldog. As goofy and weird looking as this warband it looks, and as excited as I am to see people get their own paint on this warband and see what they can really look like. The first thing I had found that I did enjoy is this good boy, because it's just this like proud, like prancy bull looking dog with bull horns sticking out of him, his tongue sticking out. I don't know. I like him quite a bit. So this ability is for him. And I like that. I mean, it's whenever you have an ability like this, it just offers so much flexibility. Like you can be pushing, like you can run in with the bull and then maybe grab an Inspire and then push yourself out to safety. You could have the leader already forward in a forward position and push in, like kind of as the title of the ability, Call the Pursuit, push in, maybe grab an Inspire in that way, or offer yourself support on like a charged out attack, reposition off of a charged out state. I like it quite a bit.
It's better than I initially gave it credit for. I originally thought, I'm like, man, like if this is my main warband, I'd be really annoyed that 1/3 of the ability section of the card is taken up by something that only works on the weakest fighter in the warband, only if my leader's alive, and only once per game. I was like, it seems really restrictive when you have like the hounds in Hexbanes that just run all over the place all the time. However, I did find some, I was because of this push, there's so much to consider with the positioning. And I remember being part of the way through around being like, oh, I haven't been thinking about stopping Strip the Realm. Like that's going to be a big problem for me. And then realizing like, okay, I think I can get Kamandora onto this. And then she failed to overrun. And I was like, oh no, that's okay. I'll just have the Hound come and trot along and
Nice.
hop on that. So there are some fun little tricks that can be had there. It's not world changing, but there's some extra positioning there, and I like you pointed out that, hey, in this ostensibly full on strike warband, here's just like a little positioning trick.
And like, I mean, I think push 4 is so big that it's hard for your opponent to necessarily think through like all the possible changes of the board state, which is always nice to have as like a back pocket tool to just surprise somebody with.
Yeah.
As you said, Kenna is not exactly the most impactful fighter, so it's not like absolutely terrifying that this dog gets to just teleport halfway across the board. But like, there are worse fighters in the game. So
yeah. Well, another thing that's useful for, like, Kamandora is the only fighter that starts on 2 defense, so she's starting on 2 dodge, and if all he does is rush up and give you a flanked bonus for an attack that you're about to take, someone standing still, then that's a notable defensive boost for somebody on 2 defense dice.
Yeah, it's certainly not bad.
I guess, been dancing around one of the iconic ones.
Yeah.
Why don't you go for it, Phil?
Yeah, so this is their last ability, and I think this is sort of like a really weird control-y type of ability, and it'll be hard to know just how good it is until we can really get more reps with it. But so all of these fighters have a weapon ability called Slashing, which is just like a little sweeping sword icon. And it says, when a weapon with this weapon ability inflicts damage on an enemy fighter, give that target a bleed token. If an enemy fighter with any bleed tokens uses a core ability, which, if folks don't remember, that's the little skull icon, inflict 1 damage on that fighter after resolving that ability, and then remove that fighter's bleed tokens. Otherwise, remove all bleed tokens from enemy fighters immediately after your opponent's power step or at the end of the battle round. So they will not like have to worry about a fighter who's got one of these tokens for like the rest of the round being like, oh man, I'm just going to end up taking this damage at some point. They have the choice to be like, okay, you hit me, I have this token, I can choose to just not do anything with that fighter and it will go away. But that means you didn't do anything with your fighter. So like, you suddenly have this push-pull of like, I'm going to come in and hit you, and if I do, you have to then choose. Do you give up like action efficiency or potentially like getting your fighter away from my fighters, or do you take an extra point of damage?
Right.
And all of the fighters have this. So they all have the access to a conditional extra point of damage, which is pretty good. I have to imagine it'll put your opponent in some bad spots sometimes where it's like, oh no, now I'm vulnerable. So like, I pretty much have no choice because I can't like afford to kill my own fighter. But what if they're like the only fighter they have left to do stuff with? Like, now what do you do?
Yeah, I also like the idea of your enemy warband being 1 fighter away from charged out, and you hit that one with Slashing. And it's like, okay, like, are you going to take a damage to put your warband into charged out status, or are you like going to pass this turn and draw cards or whatnot instead?
Yeah,
sure, that's a good point. I I found that this has actually generated a lot of vulnerable fighters on the board, more than usual, because you would end up foregoing that. Like, yeah, I guess I'll choose not to kill this fighter. I'm not going to give the Blades player one glory of bounty or however much that fighter is, just in order to do this one thing I wanted to do. Occasionally, yes, but if you're looking for the warband that pairs very nicely with the one glory end phase on the edge, you just found it. So
yeah, right.
Power level unlocked. One thing that can make this it's a good design choice, I think. Like many of the things they've done by giving weapon abilities, since you can only pick one weapon ability, and this is ostensibly a warband that's going to be throwing a lot of attacks. It was challenging because they were like, do I want the accuracy? Do I want the slashing? Do I want just straight up damage? Am I taking Grievous? Am I taking Cleave? Am I taking slashing? I often found myself picking between 2 or 3 different rune marks, and that may speak to the choices you make in deck building. But that is a challenge that you'll have to work through as the Blades player, is how to juggle the different weapon abilities that might be in demand at any given time.
You might even like hold out on tossing. Like, usually if you get Grievous in hand, you want to get it out as quickly as possible most of the time. But I could see like a head game played where like, I don't want them to know I have true Grievous yet. I want to see like what decisions they'll make on their slashing fighters. See if I can't get them down to 2 health left. Then I'll drop Grievous out.
Yeah. I could track that. The another fun interaction is pings, particularly the pings that can in some way target a fighter who is vulnerable, but even ones that can't. So here I'm thinking in particular about Countdown to Cataclysm pings, but there's a few others that can work as well. And this is where you can put somebody, now they're like, so I managed to bleed somebody, and now they're making that decision like, hey, I've got 2 health left. Can I afford to like take this one more damage, or is there a total collapse in hand that's going to finish me off as soon as I take this one more damage? So that was a way to kind of stretch the value of this bleed token, this slashing ability.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything that is going to put more mental strain on your opponent, whether it's like super powerful or not, I think is always going to be in your favor, because people either might forget, or they might not see something and make a mistake, or just getting overloaded with information can cause you to make poor decisions. And so sure. I think being able to sort of try to put your opponent in a bad spot and try to have them make those mistakes is probably a benefit of this warband.
Yeah. Let's unless someone's got some more thoughts they want to hit right now, let's run through the fighters real quick.
Yeah.
Just to kind of talk. We've done a lot of alluding to them.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. I'll start with this. I think they've made some interesting choices on how to distribute the stats in this warband. So we'll start with Kamandora. She is the one who gets the least out of her Inspire. So she's on 2 dodge to start. As Phil said, they're all movement 4. She only has 3 health. She has a bounty of 2, and then she has an attack that's 2 hammers, 2 damage, and slashing. So it's a sort of kind of 3 damage depending, like we were talking about. The only thing she gets out of Inspire is an extra attack die, but the jump from accuracy from 2 hammers to 3 hammers I find to be pretty substantial. So she sure wouldn't say no to an Inspire, but she perhaps needs it the least.
She's oh my gosh, I'm gonna embarrass myself if I'm wrong. She's a Thari without a range shot. I'm pretty confident. Like, okay. Both in like starting on the 2 dodge, having 3 health, being worth 2, 4 move, like straight up. Even her melee profile, and then watch me be wrong. Okay, I'll verify that after the fact.
Could be.
Um, so who is presumably her second in command here, Throck? Somebody want to cover him?
So, I mean, Throck is the one who's supposedly taking the heads off of these guys once they get sort of
right,
like corralled and cut down by the little guys. So
everybody else shivs them until they're like down, and then he takes the head. That's right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So he is the big bruiser in this warband. He only starts on 1 dodge, which is true for all the remaining fighters. He does have 4 health, though, so he's your slightly harder to take out guy. 2 bounty again, and then he has the 2 hammers, 2 damage with the bleed ability again, slashing. But when he inspires, he gets extra defense dice, extra accuracy, and is going to really want that because that 2 dodge with the 4 health means he's going to be much harder to get rid of once he's inspired. So I would say pretty high priority target for an inspire, and just probably your highest value fighter overall.
Yeah, I generally agree with that, but I think the next 2, I'll let Skylar cover these, but Ballista and Antrokarst are, it's not unheard of, but it's a rarity for 2 fighters who have literally identical stat lines. I kept on looking back and forth and being like, is there something different about it? Nope, they're exactly the same. And Skylar, what do we know about these guys?
Yeah, so Ballista here, and as you said, also Krast here. We have 1 dodge to start, inspiring to 2 dodge. We have 3 health and 1 bounty to offer. And then their attack profiles are range 1, 3 swords or daggers for you, Val, and 1 damage being dealt here with slashing. And then that cranks up to range 1, 4 swords, 2 damage with slashing. And man, do I find it weird that they're the exact same profiles, like top to bottom.
Yeah, in my head, I was like, that never happens. Like, well, it does. Like the archers in Zarbags, it happens. But usually when we see identical profiles, it's in a horde warband. We're like, this is just some of the chaff or whatever.
Yeah, but in like a 4 or 5 fighter warband, it's like we need you to each have like your unique personality come out. On your card. But unique personalities they don't have.
Yeah. No. Their personality is really, really loving the Inspire. Extra attack dice, extra defense dice, extra point of damage. Woo, man, it's a tasty treat.
Yeah, get us there. And the fact that they're all at 2 damage once they're inspired, the other 2 starting there, but everybody getting to 2 and then having slashing, it's like everybody's threatening 3, which is interesting.
Yep. Well, everybody's extremely similar. Like 4 swords or 3 hammers are both very, very nice, accurate profiles, not too wildly different from each other. So they're on the same damage. They're on the same defense. They're on the, if not the same accuracy, they could all be said to be accurate. So it kind of means like as they inspire, the threat starts, like you said, to come from anywhere.
They can really sort of pile it up, and it's like there's no big haymaker really coming, but they're just going to chip you down, and like it's going to be super hard to just be like, oh, I can totally ignore this Ballista guy because he's, not going to be a problem. No, he's at some point he is going to be inspired, and he is going to be pretty effective once he is, and you're going to have to worry about that. I would say the only fighter you really don't have to worry too much about is Canet.
Yeah. Oh, right. Canet. Canet, I'll just cover it up now. Canet is only 2 health, as Phil said. 4 move, 1 dodge, jumps up to 2 dodge on the Inspire. And then the attack profile is 2 swords, 1 damage with slashing, and that goes to 3 swords, 1 damage with slashing. Not as tasty as an Inspire, but attack profile becomes reasonable after the Inspire, and the defense die is always welcome. So
always,
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like
such a prancy little boy. Look at that.
So happy. He's just ready to get some skulls.
Yeah.
I imagine it's a fighter that you really don't want them to be able to reach, and you really want to leverage that like push 4 in for inspire probably most of the time, or maybe like charge in, like grab the inspire in the power. I don't know. Like you don't want to give him up too easy because like he's the easy seed glory for your opponent.
It's true, and also I think you have some difficult decisions as far as who you're putting in harm's way. You know, because conventional wisdom might be, hey, let's put the person who can, say you got an opponent who is lower damage but high accuracy, like maybe Thunderix. You're like, well, maybe the person I put in harm's way is Throck, because he can take a number of shots. Or maybe you're saying like, I really want to try and avoid the hits, so like I'll start with my fighter who's already on 2 dodge, so Kamandora will be in the vulnerable spot. Except both those are the ones that give up 2 bounty, so you don't want to give that up too easily. And so you're like, okay, well maybe it's Galista and Antrocrast. And like, well, those 2 get the most out of the Inspire, so I kind of like to make sure we get them the Inspire. And you're like, well, Canet is the easy seed glory because 1 dodge, 2 health is about as easy as somebody can pick up a bounty. So I was like, I don't really know which way to go with this. And so you can just lean into Corn Cares Not and go for it. But
yeah, I think we could,
I guess. Oh, go ahead.
Summarize some of this by saying like, this is a weird warband to evaluate on paper. And I know, Davey, you got to play with them a little bit, but it's like, probably a warband that you just need reps with to sort of figure out like what's best into what. And I would imagine it probably changes depending on what your opponent's warband is.
Yeah.
If you're playing elite aggro, you probably have a different prioritization of who's forward than if you are playing against a horde.
Sure.
Yeah.
Skyler, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just the new underdog is still something that like I'm getting used to, and so like aggro is it. So unless it's aggro versus aggro, the aggro warband's probably not going to have underdog, right? Because they're going to be killing and therefore turning the other player into the underdog. Maybe can be this piece where like, you know what, I need to push myself into underdog. So here's a glory. And I don't know if that's ever the right call, but I'm just still playing around with that rule a bit.
Sure. I think there is there may not be quite as much of a skill ceiling on these guys as someone like the Ilthari's Guardians, who just have so many different things you can do. But I think there's more there than you would think at first glance from on the War Scroll.
Yep.
Speaking of Ilthari, I was correct. Kamandora is Ilthari minus range shot,
minus the gun. Okay. Well, let's talk about this. What pairings do we think this warband is looking for? And again, I think it's not the most straightforward answer. We've seen a lot of the aggro saying, "Yep, Blazing Assault, Reckless Fury," but they're not elite aggro. And in fact, maybe they're control. So, what are you guys thinking?
Well, as you alluded to earlier, my one of my favorites, but actually my favorite deck right now for sure is Pillage and Rack. Mm-hmm. And man, I'd be so tempted to just try that out here because you're getting those early pushes that you can use the way that Phil called me out on, where you're mad mobbing your way forward onto these tokens, and so you're already starting like in positions to maximize delving, and then the rack side of it is something that you were already talking about, where it's like, hey, like be careful with your slashing decisions, my opponent, because I've got pings in here to also threaten you with.
Sure.
I think that would be a fun one that I'd want to give a go.
I think some of the rack scoring also can create additional pressure where they feel this pressure like, oh man, do I walk this person away so that Alone in the Dark, or walk this person in so that Alone in the Dark is stopped, but it means I take this damage, or maybe I can't because if I do walk I just die, and so now I'm stuck there. So that's
do I help
cool.
with their inspire, or do I help count, or which should counter Alone in the Dark, or do I bank that they don't have it right now, so I'm not helping with the inspire?
Yeah.
Lots of interesting choices.
Sure. For me, I already mentioned, I thought there was some strength in Countdown, specifically because of the pings that can really amplify your bleed tokens, your slashing. And then Blazing Assault, and not for the reasons you necessarily think. Obviously it's got these aggro things and stuff like critical effort when you're got fighters that might be tossing 3 or 4 dice on an attack. That there's some things that work nicely there. What I really liked about Blazing Assault was 2 pushes, because there's sidestep and lure of battle. So there's 2 ways to have the ability to help trigger the inspire early, which I think is pretty tasty there too.
Well, I think you guys have sort of mentioned all the ones I thought about. I considered others just to think through, like, are these any good? But I really don't know that there's a way you can leverage Reckless Fury all that much, because it's going to be hard to have charge tokens on everybody when you have 5 fighters. I don't think they like edge very much, because to get 3 of your fighters to be tempered, you'd have to have them be vulnerable, and that's gonna feel pretty bad. And then I don't think I just don't really like Realmstone Raiders, so I don't think I would use it with these guys. But
I did try it. It was really, really painful. And it was unclear if it was just a problem with pairing with this warband, or if it was a problem with Realmstone.
I think the latter, because that deck's looking for melee, right? So, and this, like on paper, this could be an ABC aggro warband, always be charging, which Realmstone really likes, but I just I don't like that deck.
I mean, it always tempts me with stuff like the Determined Fate, or is that I can't remember the Stand Fast card.
Yeah,
I was like, hey, I'm going to stand fast, and then I'm going to still be there in the power step and on Inspire, and that's all kind of cool. Except you accidentally threw those cards to the bottom of the deck, and also you are like, hey, I just need to like raid an Emberstone card, and all I'm seeing is like Keen Eye and Great Speed. Anyway, so there were cool things that I could do in the power step, and there were incredibly frustrating things happening in the objective draw thing. So,
and not to spend too much time on that deck, but the weirdest part about that deck is that I don't even think it's bad. I just don't like it. I just don't enjoy it.
Yeah, I think I agree, because I made the modification where I'm like, oh, I guess I'm just going to sit on. I'm not going to throw any of these power cards away, because I can't afford to like risk, messing up Realmstone. And then it worked in my favor, where like the first attack drew what I needed, and then I also triggered Rage Rock Strike. So I was like, oh, okay, I got 2 surges off my first attack in the next round, but I had to do it in this way that was frustrating in the ways that you might normally play.
Yeah, well, so I think that's, unless anybody has any other thoughts for existing decks, which I think the only one we didn't mention at all is Sentinels, which I can't even imagine that these guys would want,
especially with that. Well, yeah, no, I don't think so either. I was going to say like the automatic push, pulls at that right away, but it is top of the round. I think what probably pulls at it more is just the fact that they start on 1 dodge and have to be adjacent before they can get better at that.
The one thing, as you were talking about, that made me think, a number of the surges in Emberstone are asking you to be in enemy territory, so they may be able to like get to some of those tokens that are hard to reach because of the push. I'd say when you're thinking about a deck, these guys love a guard card, so
yes,
that was the other thing that Blazing Assault was super nice for. And I know Emberstone and Pillage have those. So yeah, I don't know. I think they're a weird enough warband that you could afford to try a bunch of different things, and you may be surprised by what works.
You certainly could. Uh, Another thing you could try is the deck that came out with this warband, I
Oh,
suppose.
ace level segue.
Should we talk about Raging Slayers?
We should.
If we have to.
Hey,
Yes.
I think there's a lot going for this deck. It's just not in the objectives.
No, it's not. Let's talk about what might be the thing it has most going for it, and that is, unfortunately, this is yet another deck with a plot card.
Yeah, my God.
Which is maybe getting a problem. I think now is this 9 decks forward which have plot cards.
Yes,
like that?
I believe that is correct.
That's
Three releases in a row too, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. So I think that makes it feel like it's skewing even harder than it is. But let's break down this plot card, because I think it's real easy to lose track of this when you're looking at the rest of the deck and forget that there is a extremely powerful plot card that is sitting behind all this.
Yep.
Yeah, I can run this down for us.
Do it.
Raging Charge. Immediately after picking a friendly fighter to charge, you can give that fighter a rage token. Fighters with any rage tokens are enraged. So as soon as you pick a friendly fighter to charge, before they've even made that move, you give them a rage token. They're now enraged. So even like during the course of that charge, already enraged. Important to keep that in mind, because Raging Strike, after you make an attack roll as part of a melee attack for an enraged friendly fighter, you can immediately re-roll 1 attack dice in that attack roll. I'm going to pause for effect here. That's pretty crazy. And then lastly, so that's the upside. So what's the downside look like? Poor footing. You must use this immediately after an enraged friendly fighter was attacked. If that fighter was not driven back or grappled, push the target 1 hex away from the attacker. Your opponent chooses the direction of that push. And then lastly, for a little bit of cleanup here, remove all rage tokens from enraged friendly fighters at the end of the battle round. So you're going to have to get these going again each round. They're going to fade away as soon as the battle round ends. And to kind of summarize that poor footing, so when your enraged fighters are attacked, your opponent's still going to get the choice to drive them back or grapple them if they've got access to that. But if they choose to forgo a drive back or a grapple, then they're still pushing that target. It's a must. It's not a may. That target, your enraged fighter, is getting pushed somewhere.
Yep.
After they're attacked. And it doesn't even need to be friendly, right? Or sorry, successful. Was the word I was looking for there.
Yeah. So my reading of it was that like the intent here is that your fighter's always going to get driven back even if your opponent misses. The potential upside of this ability is that your opponent can't keep a fighter adjacent to them. Like it's just not possible.
Yeah.
Because if they attack you, they will have to push you no matter what. So
yeah, I guess I missed it. It's not just even a draw. It's even a straight up miss is going to move you.
Yeah, it's just if you were attacked.
Yeah.
So yeah, if somebody attacks an enraged fighter, they will get pushed.
Yeah.
That may not be something they want, so they would have to at least think about that before attacking.
Yeah, which is kind of a like in the lens of the warband we just covered. It's a weird fit with them because it's really easy to pull them out of like being able to inspire by being adjacent to fighters.
Right. Although often I found that you were inspiring in your own power step after you've done some positioning.
I imagined that. That makes sense.
This gives a little help. I mean, basically, it's specifically the window on that inspire is forgiving enough that it can get around this. But I didn't try these two together. I just want to say one more thing about Raging Strike. Like an easy way to think about it is like every opponent is staggered, but it's actually even better than that because if they are staggered, now you're rolling 2 attack dice.
Yeah.
So
essentially, every single one of your fighters has a conditional upgrade at the beginning of the game, which is almost the same as having accurate, which is, I believe, a 2 glory upgrade.
Might be 1, but
if it is 1, either way, though, like it's a pretty powerful thing to have. Just always be able to reroll an attack dice if you're charging.
Or if you had charged previously in the round, because all you have to do is have a
true. If you're charged out and then you're making attacks while you're standing, that would also get the reroll. So pretty good. Range 2 fighters, be aware. You can leverage this more than others.
So gents, on first read on this pot card, what is this making you think that you're be seeing in this deck? Like, who's it want to be for?
Super aggro. Just charge all day long.
Like the read for me is immediately 3/4 fighter warbands, because like at 3 you can already leverage that on your charged out like status, like right out of the gate. But like at 4 fighters, like everybody's getting this if you want to fully charge, and like you're quickly getting to that charged out state again, like if you lose a fighter. So you're being able to leverage that raging strike again with those fighters as well.
And to Phil's point, a warband that has like a range 2, especially since raging strike is specifically for melee attacks, the rerolls only on melee attacks, but for if you're that elite and you have range 2 attacks, you are really having the chance to make the most out of this pot card.
I immediately fear the idea of seeing Drum with this.
Well, don't be too fearful, because let's talk about some objectives here. So let's do what we usually do. We'll kind of go round robin, people pointing out objectives until we kind of run out of ones that we're excited to talk about, with the reminder that you can get a card by card breakdown on our blog, which goes live the same time as this episode does. So if you're hearing this, it's already there. Link in the notes. Who's got an objective they'd like to mention here?
I will start with one that I can't decide if I think it's going to be any good at all, but
it's overwhelming presence.
You're right.
Yes. Same.
Love it.
So this is an end phase for 2 bounty. Score this in an end phase if each friendly fighter is enraged, so doing what you want to be doing anyway, and there are no fighters holding treasure tokens. I don't know if in this current landscape, if that's really even going to be possible. So many people are playing around holding to deny Strip the Realm, that like people are already thinking about it, of needing to hold at least 1 treasure, and that shuts this off. So it's like, oh boy, I don't know. But for 2 glory, I mean, if you can find ways to like just keep people off those tokens, that can mean that this is a pretty straightforward one. They just have to charge all your fighters, which like you probably want to be doing with whatever warband you pair with this deck anyway. So
sure.
And it's a card I think that gets better as the game goes on, right? Like, so each friendly fighter is enraged, right? So that like that ask is getting reduced over time, and like hopefully you're reducing the enemy fighter count as well. So like the opportunity for them to be on feature tokens is, decreasing model by model.
Yeah. So. Yep. Certainly would hope.
It's a weird one. I had the same feelings that you did regarding like current like meta, and like how people are already attuned to wanting to be on at least 1. And thinking about that, like you can just shift that mentality. You've been training yourself to do that for when you're up against Pillage, and now when you hear Raging Slayers, you're just like, oh well, frankly, that's actually one of the better objective cards in here, so they're probably running it. So I'll just make sure to be countering that.
Yeah, I think a good companion objective to talk about for that is No Escape. This is a 2 glory end phase. Score that's an end phase of each friendly fighter is enraged and in enemy territory, and no enemy fighters are in your territory. If it did not have that that your fighters had to be in enemy territory, I might be okay with it, because like, hey, now you got to come to, like, if you don't come to me, I might score this. But because you have to be in enemy territory, this one feels
I
like
hate
it
this
was
card.
trying to occupy the same space as Overwhelming Presence, like putting some positioning challenges on your opponent. But they just made it a little too hard, especially with the automatic pushes that you're going to be suffering. So I think this is kind of like the other side of the coin of Overwhelming Presence. We're like, maybe it's good, I'm not sure. And this one, you're like, maybe, no, I'm pretty sure it's not. So trying to do a similar thing, but this is where the execution doesn't come through, I think.
It's that double territory position requirement where it's like, so you have to be charged to get to enraged, right? But like, if there's anyone in your territory that you need to flush out, you got to charge them. And now you're stuck in the territory the card says you can't be.
Sure.
So I just like it pulls at itself.
And in a late game, you may end up with like, hey, I've got, like I've killed too many people, like I can't charge the last guy or something like that. Like there's lots of ways for this one to break down.
Yeah. And for certain warbands, that last line of like, no enemy fighters in your territory is such an easy thing to break. I'm specifically thinking about with ghouls, where they can just be like, oh, in the name of the king, there
I am.
I shut you down. And it's like, you didn't even have to do anything. Like, it's just a power step and it's done. So yeah, I like take away some of those caveats and it feels like a playable card, all of them combined, and it is probably a leave it at home, because when are you realistically ever scoring that?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'll grab the other end phase that's worth more than one, because I do think it's interesting being here, and that's Unrelenting Massacre. So this is score this in an end phase if all fighters have charge tokens, and this is 3 glory. And it, for those unfamiliar, this is a card that is also in Reckless Fury. So, like when you're building aggro, you have 2 decks like that you can source this from, and it is really interesting and generally effective three-pointer here. But then when you want to dip into both decks together, you're reducing kind of like what your end phase pool looks like right out of the gate, and that I find like just interesting from a choice aspect, from a design aspect, is like when these 2 decks are put together, that's already a decision like made for you.
When I was thinking about this one, I was like, okay, well, I definitely want to be charging out my fighters, so this kind of works in the direction I want to be going. The thing I see as a problem for this deck using this card is that, unlike Reckless Fury, it has no tools for putting charge tokens on fighters without actually doing a charge.
Yeah.
And so like, you don't have a way to cheat this. You don't have a way to force an opponent to get a charge token. So like trying to line this up is going to be a lot harder. There's going to be certain warbands gets where this is basically impossible. I just like, this is one of those cards where in an ideal meta, it's probably amazing, but I think there's a lot of cases where you're not going to be able to line this up.
Well, and to Skylar's point about this tension between, hey, it's hard for me to take this deck alongside Reckless Fury, then because I'm already like reducing my end phase pool, this because your deck doesn't have any help for scoring this, for forcing it, like you said, you're even more pushed to say like, well, Reckless Fury has those tools.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So that's a tough one.
And it's such a, I kind of like it. I've said this before about Blazing Assault, where it's got this 5-pointer that I don't expect to see, but every once in a while it comes out and to play, and we're all like cheering, and because whoever brought that and actually pulled it off, like bravo. But like, it's essentially saying, hey, because you're playing aggro, we expect you to get a lot more of your glory out of bounty, right? And that kind of seems to be a continuous design theme on these like straight aggro playstyle decks. And so for that, I find it interesting because like if you're grabbing this deck and putting it in with Blazing Assault, I think that's actually probably like the lowest glory ceiling that you're going to see in like an aggro deck. But then if you bring it over with Reckless Fury, as we talked about, which it feels like it's pulling you to do, then you're kind of just co-opting most of their scoring suite as well.
Right. To be included with Best Foot Forward as as the best surge in this deck. Scores immediately after a friendly fighter's successful attack if that fighter has any charge tokens and is in enemy territory. That is the most scoreable of the surges in this deck, and it is also overlapping with Reckless Fury.
Yep.
So,
yeah. Just to, finish the thought on your like discussion of it, it's an interesting design space that aggro decks are sort of tuned around the idea that you're getting more glory from bounties, so therefore we're not going to give you as much in your objectives. In practice, I think that is not as good as it is on paper, because on paper it's like, yeah, that makes sense, you're going to get more kills. But I think in practice, warbands that aren't aggro get almost as many kills, maybe not quite as many, but it's like you're still getting like 3-4 kills a game at least. So they're pretty much similar, like maybe 1 or 2 points difference in terms of bounty.
That's fair.
But they have these decks that can score like 18 or 20 from the objective deck. And it's like, well, now what am I doing?
Yeah, it's good in theory.
Yeah. So I think where we see so many aggro pairings where they're reaching for Cataclysm, because they're trying to juice those end phases, because there's not a lot of good other choices.
Putting this scoring suite with Cataclysm scoring suite, that's a tall order.
Can you compare? Yeah.
I mean, this is like, to just generalize the objective suite. We've been alluding to this. Like, this is the roughest ask of any full objective suite, I think, thus far, especially like for aggro.
I think, yes, I think I would agree. When Rack and Ruin first came out, I was like, that felt like that was really disjointed, but that has proved to be like better than I thought. I think there are aspects of Realmstone Raiders that are deeply frustrating, but I think even it's not asking as tall an order. Like it has a lot of RNG on it, but I'm with you here, because we've talked about kind of there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's in the middle here, like killing a leader at the right time, or having your leader like in a particular position, like and even some of them are saying like asking you to do things that would be a lot easier if you had a lot of fighters. And you're like, well, I'm probably not going to, like, that's not what this deck is asking me to bring. So disjointed, challenging, not buttery smooth.
No. And like there's some of these where the requirements almost feel like an oversight. I'm just going to call this one out, not because it's good or because it's super interesting, but just because I think Skylar caught something that I didn't notice when I first read it, and I don't believe you did either, Davy. As for Into the Fire, and it says, score this in an end phase if your leader is in enemy territory and within 2 hexes of 2 other fighters. Note that specifically says 2, not 2 or more, or at least 2. It's 2 exactly. So if there are 3 other fighters around your leader, you can't score this, and it's for 1.
Yeah.
Like, I just, like, was that even intended?
Yeah.
Like, it almost feels like it can't be, right? Because like you're having to put your leader into danger, but also having to set them up in an exact positioning situation where you're like, I have my 2 friends with me, nobody else is around anywhere within 2 hexes of me. It's just like, oh boy, this is Like
Yeah.
I would probably not even really consider that if it was 2 glory, and it's for 1. So it's like, oh boy.
I was initially excited about this card. Like in our card by card rundown, you can see my stream of consciousness here because I decided to leave it in. Like I was starting to type like as if it said within 2 hexes of 2 or more other fighters, and I was like, oh wow, like sure it's only 1 point, but like I think you're gonna know who likes this card, and I personally was a fan of it out of the gate, and then I was like, wait a minute, no.
Yeah.
It
Good
says
catch.
2 other fighters. And when it's asking for that exact requirement and only offering you a point, and balancing off your leader, that's no, it's not good.
Yeah, man, in a theme of a number of these, like if this was 2 glory, I might begrudgingly include it with the idea that I can move my leader late, and pick, if I've got the last action, I can move my leader late and pick a spot that just gets a 2 glory or something like that. I wouldn't love it, but for 1 glory, no. And that theme popped up on a couple others. Are like, man, maybe if this was like another glory, then I might go for it. But
and then if you think about this, it's an end phase, so you've got to make it through to the end of the round, at this requirement, and this is in the deck where if I get attacked, I'm getting
Yeah, I'll get pushed no matter what. So,
so my enemy has so much agency to wreck this 1 point glory.
Yeah. All right. I think it's pretty clear we're not super stoked about the state of the objective deck.
No.
And we'll talk more about like what you might possibly do to get around that when we kind of do some summary here, but I think it might be worth moving on to power cards. What do you guys say?
I agree.
Yeah. So as we jump into power, I just want to highlight a push and pull between the objective suite and the power suite that we're about to cover. A lot of the objective suite asks you to have multiple fighters, generally like all of your fighters, with rage tokens. And there are 3 power cards that ask you to spend your rage tokens. So you have these effects that are like, hey, choose me over scoring. And I think that like as we cover though, like that is too punitive, like to pull at if you're actually playing this as like a rivals deck where you're actually bringing these cards along in your nemesis pairing. Asking to pull a rage token off of me is too high of a cost, especially since none of the power cards offer a way to onboard a rage token.
I was startled to see that was the case because they're so used to seeing it. If you're looking at Edge of the Knife, you have multiple ways to make people either permanently or temporarily into a tempered fighter.
Yep.
Even in something like Countdown to Cataclysm, you have stuff like Extinction's Edge and Bringer of Doom that increase the Cataclysm count, that lean into like, hey, this is a card whose value is to help along the objectives in the deck. And so I think this is a really interesting mirror image of that, where you say, hey, here are some powerful effects, but we are going to blow up some of your scoring in a objective deck that was I'm going to say better designed. In an objective deck that was better designed, that was more powerful, that would be a really fun interaction to be like, ooh, like, do you want to take some of the wind out of your sails on the objective deck? But here you're like, that objective deck's already kind of dead in the water, like these are just like, hammering holes in the bottom of the hole, like it's, it's rough.
Very, very rough. But I will say a number of these ploys are quite good. At least I think so. So
yeah. There's some nice stuff in this power deck.
I'm actually like, this is the part of the deck I'm excited to cover. It's just like whatever else you need to do to replace the entire objective suite to get these. Play with these.
Right. So you can try and figure it out. Well, where do you want to start, Skylar? You sound like you've got some that you're pretty excited about.
Okay. Well then, I really want to jump straight into upgrades, but I won't. I'll behave. We're gonna be employees. So there are a few domains in here. So I'll hit the super spicy one. Honed reflexes. Each time you make a save roll for an enraged friendly fighter, you can re-roll one save dice in that save roll. This effect persists until the end of the battle round or until another domain card is played. So obviously, a save re-roll is a super hot thing to have, and your enraged friendly fighters are probably exactly where you're going to want to have those save re-rolls, because they're going to be the ones that have charged and put their neck out there. And when we look at something like the Warband we've been covering, if they can get to 2 dodge and have a re-roll, that's good.
Yeah.
Quite strong. When I read this card, the first thing I immediately thought of was that you would really like to have a defensive reroll for Jaws. That feels pretty gross. Where it's just like, oh, not only do you have to worry about taking that damage, but now there's even a better chance of me getting it. Like, yuck.
Yeah, I mean, like this is a, if this was an upgrade, you'd be willing to, like, you'd be excited about this on one fighter for a glory, or even 2, glory. Like it's agile, right? That does this and is 2 glory, and here we have it for all your fighters in the space of a domain. So if somebody doesn't play a domain to counter this could be all round for you. So not across a whole game like an upgrade could offer, but still, like, you're gonna love to see this when it comes up for you.
Yeah. I will pick another one here that I think is pretty tasty, and this is one of the ones that hampers the scoring. But if you're approaching this from the perspective, like, I'm probably not scoring most of the stuff in this deck anyway, I'm getting my scoring from somewhere else, then there's What Pain. This is pick up the 2 enraged friendly fighters, heal those fighters, then remove their rage tokens and give them a stagger token. The stagger may be punishing, but I think we can all think of plenty of circumstances where, like, maybe you already have a stagger token. Maybe you're pillage and plunder because you needed a deck that scores really well to go with this. And so an extra stagger token doesn't matter, but being able to heal 2 different fighters is pretty wow. People will go for Blazing Assault or for Emberstone Sentinels specifically because they're like, I really like the extra heal, So that is, I think, we'll see, but I think it's a fairly decently balanced card that has really high ceiling on its power.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I actually really like the needle thread here of, like, so you have to pick 2 fighters that have charged, because that's how they got enraged. And they're going to end up with stagger tokens. So if that's not something they already have, like, that's weighing into your consideration. But it's like, I'd rather be able to heal them and give them a shot at life than, and maybe that stagger token is a cost that you're willing to onboard because you've just healed them past one-shot range. So at least, like, you kind of thought that attack was going to hit anyways. Sure, I probably guaranteed it's going to hit, but at least they'll be vulnerable now instead of dead. Like, it's and I like the closer you can push this to the end phase, which is this, like, risk reward pull on it, then the less that stagger token really matters. So I like it. I mean, the harshest thing about it is the rage token pull, but as you said, if I was more excited about the objective deck, I'd care more about that. But for me, it almost means nothing.
Right. Yeah. The rage token is a good reminder to me. Like, I often, when I was looking at this deck, I kept forgetting that an enraged fighter has to have that rage token. There's no getting around by giving, like, a charge token artificially that does not enrage somebody if you just use head case or something to give them a charge token. So something to bear in mind.
So I think another one that is sort of doing this push pull, but has a pretty powerful effect, is Venting Strike. So you play this immediately after you pick a melee weapon as part of an attack by an enraged fighter, and then you can give that weapon +1 attack dice for the attack, and immediately after the attack you have to remove the rage tokens from the fighter. So The window here is you are charging with a fighter that you enraged, and then during that attack, you remove the rage token. So they never really get to be enraged. I think, one thing I just literally thought of is that if you're playing this deck and you don't really care about being enraged for the purpose of scoring, being able to get the benefit of being enraged and then in the next power step remove the tokens so that you don't get pushed around might actually be a good thing.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Sure,
adds a different layer to it for sure.
Yeah,
and I mean, Venting Strike here, like it doesn't just read +1 attack dice, because like it's also a reroll from that enraged status that you
already have that. So yeah, +1 dice and a reroll on your charge is really scary. One of the first warbands I thought of when I started reading this deck before I got into the objectives that I was like, I'm kind of scared that this exists, was for Headsman. Because giving the wielder all of this accuracy right out of the gate, you don't have to put any upgrades on him. You don't have to do anything. It's just charge. He's already got a reroll. You potentially can get a free extra dice when he's making this charge. Like, it's like, this could be like one-shot kill territory right out of the gate. And like pretty accurate one-shot kills. So, yeah, I don't know. It's super aggro, but I think it is a powerful card. We certainly see people play similar effects from Blazing Assault and from Rack and Ruin to have those extra attack dice for one attack. So
and you're always hoping on those cards to get the two, but the number of times that I played Vicious Intent, I would say maybe, and that was kind of unique to that pairing with all those pings, but maybe 75% of the time I was only getting one dice out of it, and it was still one of the best cards I was using.
It's just a very good effect. So
not to beat a dead horse, but because this is removing rage tokens, it is reminding me, and maybe you already said this, Skylar, like not only if you were trying to score with the cards in this deck, if you're trying to score these objectives, not only does it hamper your scoring, there is no way to get another rage token round. Like,
drives me nuts.
You can't do it with a card. You can't charge again. You already have a charge token. Like, oh man, like that is permanent for that round.
There are two cards in the entire game that would allow you to charge again, and they are both pretty punitive. So
it's push through, right? So
Scream of Anger.
And Scream of Anger. Push through. What's the cost on that one? Is it a damage? I'm forgetting at the moment.
You do take a damage. There's a bounty cap though, so like it has to be a bounty 2 or less fighter who does that one.
And then Scream of Anger, no bounty cap, but you're taking 2 damage. Correct.
Yeah.
So if you're not pairing with Blazing Assault and Reckless Fury, which is where those are coming from, there's nothing to get another rage token, which just within the deck itself just throws me off. Like I thought that, like, I was like, okay, maybe they're not going to do something at like ploy speed, right? They want you to have to like earn it. So I didn't see one in the ploy deck as I'm going through it for my first time. I'm like, I'm sure in the power deck I'll see something that like is broadcasted, right? So I'll know as the opponent, like they've put something out that can also get them rage tokens, so I can expect that fighter to be leveraging the better cards that cost them a rage token. But no, spoilers. That's not in here.
There is a power card. I guess you're up next there, Skylar. What do you got?
Were you going to say Murder Lust?
I was going to say Murder Lust.
Hey! So play this immediately after an enraged friendly fighter's melee attack fails. Friendly fighters' melee attack weapons have +1 attack dice while targeting the target of that failed attack until the end of the battle round. Yeah. And this there's a couple cards in this deck that I don't think are like amazing, but I think they're really fun. And this is like in that camp. Like, it's good. It's not bad. But I think it's just more fun than anything. I like it a lot. The idea of like, if I run in on this target, especially early in the round, and fail that attack, like boom, I've just unlocked +1 attack dice for everybody else to try to like pile in on that fighter over the course of the round. I think that's great.
Did you want to punish your opponent for having impossibly quick on their fighter? Because this is how you punish your opponent for having impossibly quick on a fighter.
Oh, that's dirty.
Love.
I like it.
I wanted to
yes,
miss.
I want. Yeah. I very often want to punish my opponent for having impossibly quick.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Or
So
even
that's
just
delicious.
for having a lot of defense dice where they're like, they spiked the defense roll, right? Because it's like, oh, you just happen to have weight of dice. So like, yeah, sometimes you're just going to completely shut me down. But now if I know that going into the attack, it's like, oh, you're setting up this like really unlikely attack. Why are you doing that? Because I want +1 attack dice against that fighter the rest of the round.
This is one of the cards where I really enjoy the photography on it as well. And like the whole card comes together. Like you want the name to evoke something, or like evoke something, and you want the imagery to tie into that as well. And here we have this like haunting image of our new axeman. Help me out here. Throck, just looming in the background, staring at you with this murder lust. It's perfect. I like it.
I will switch my next one to Knife to the Heart, and this is another one that punishes your rage tokens. But outside of that, it is a pick an enemy fighter that is not vulnerable, and that is adjacent to an enraged friendly fighter. Inflict 1 damage on that enemy fighter. That's a pretty flexible ping. I'm glad it cannot finish somebody off, because that would be terrible. We certainly saw essentially that card in at the end of first edition with the. I don't remember the deck that it was where they had the enraged, a fighter that was charged or a beast could just ping you if they're adjacent, right?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, what was that? It's one of the
Dark I don't know.
Dark Command.
Dark Command. Do we get there?
Probably sounds right. Yeah. I remember the art has the bird from
Anyway. And it was a Gnarlwood card. As soon as we got into Nemesis, that was a card that was just there. It just became a staple in the game. Yeah. And you'd be at the table and you'd be like, all right, go ahead and play Dark Command right now.
Ping me. Do it.
This is a much, much more reasonable Dark Command.
It's
and go ahead.
A very reasonable callback to Twist the Knife, where it's like it evokes the same idea, but you're not killing anybody with it, which makes it not feel quite so punishing.
Yeah. I mean, potentially especially good against elite aggro style stuff where you're having to climb that mountain. I'm having to work through the big pile of 5 health that, is one of the crushes, or try to tear down Monologue or something like that. Then this early gets those fighters into a much more scary spot,
And thinking back to some of your discussion with blades, if you've slashing the fighter who has 2 health left, and then you twist the knife or knife to the heart them, now they're pretty much stuck, right? Like they, do you want to take an action with your fighter and die?
I really like that one too.
Yeah.
And Rack and Ruin, offering a lot of opportunities for that as well, right? Where it's like, I hit you, I marked you, and most of the pings in the game now say when you're not vulnerable, so I'm going to stab one in real quick, and now you're vulnerable. Your turn. What are you moving? I don't think you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody want to hit another power card, or should we move on? I mean, another ploy, or are we on to upgrades?
I think the only other one that I thought was interesting, but probably not that useful, is Slayer's Aid. You have to
tell me about Slayer's Aid.
Yeah, I know how you missed this one, because I kind of did the first time I read it too. But you pick an enraged friendly fighter and then push them up to 3 hexes, but they have to end adjacent to your leader. The unfortunate part is it says enraged. And the only way to be enraged is to have already charged. So there's a world with an elite 3-fighter aggro warband where you use this to pull a fighter into range with a range 2 melee or something to make attacks during being charged out. But that's a pretty niche use case. you'll probably know when you are okay with having this card, and otherwise you probably don't really play this because it's a bit to ask to try and set up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to pull a fighter back to safety,
Right.
and then make sure that any counterattack is then punished by your own stuff. But
Yeah. Or if if you had to charge backwards to like pick somebody off from your territory and then pull them back into enemy territory or something, like there's
Sure.
uses for it, but again, it's all niche, so it's not like just a guaranteed useful push. You really have to set it up.
Yeah, and you don't want to bring it along if you don't have a leader that you think will be surviving through at least 2 rounds of the game on average, right? Like you want your leader, you want a hardy leader. Otherwise, this card is just out of consideration right out of the gate.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of like this for headsman again because it's like if the wielder's dead, you're probably done anyway. So it's like you pretty much feel like this is guaranteed to be useful, and then there's definitely going to be times where like bearer is charged, but you want to pull him into a position for something. So, anyway, kind of neat. That was the only one left that I thought was worthy of consideration. The others are take it or leave it, some use, but not anything amazing.
Yeah, I like it. But I at first I loved it when I misread it. It was almost my favorite card in the deck. Womp womp.
Skylar, you showed admirable restraint in not jumping immediately to upgrade, so we're going to reward you by letting you take the first upgrade here.
Okay, so I'm actually not going to hit Haymaker, but I'm teasing it. Instead, I'm hitting Stubborn to the Bone because I'm excited about this card. So while this fighter is enraged, this fighter cannot be pushed or given stagger tokens. And I just love a card that's like when a plot card is introduced and gives you this idea of play, is like, hey, your punishment for being enraged is going to be that you're going to be getting pushed around, right? And then bringing in a card that immediately flips that on its head for one fighter is just something I really enjoy. So the give and take of this is like, sure, this means the plot card is not pushing you around when you're enraged, but it also means that you're not able to push this fighter. This card would be absolute fire if it said this fighter cannot be pushed by enemy abilities.
Right. Yeah, totally.
I'd be over the moon. But this kind of falls into, I mentioned before, like there are cards in here that I just think are fun. And this is one of them. And not being able to be given stagger tokens has some good and bad with it as well, because it means like this fighter can't delve, but you don't have to worry. You actually can't even heal this fighter with that heal card that we were highlighting before, because you can't give them a stagger token. So there are things that'll block, but if you just have that one fighter that you never want them to have, that style of accuracy bonus against, and you don't want being pushed around the field, like you just want them to stick to locations. This is really interesting. Or if you try to bring this deck into a flex picture, then this is going to all of a sudden keep this fighter on feature tokens for you, stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, that tracks. I'm going to grab one that is, I also think is fun, or that I had to double take to really kind of understand it. And this is a Gifted Vitality, and it's fairly expensive at 2 glory. And it says heal this fighter at the end of each battle round. And I read that and I was like, yep, okay. So you can get a heal at the round 3. It won't matter because game's basically over. And then as I was like about to move on to the next card, I'm like, well, that's weird. Did it say at the end of the battle round? Like, isn't that after end phases? And I was like, why would they do that? That's so strange. It might mess with things like on the edge, or it basically, whatever the board state was at the end of the combat phase, it remains that way through scoring. And then I realized, like, by doing it this way, you have the ability to play this upgrade in the end phase and still get the heal before the next round. And that popped it up into the, hey, that's kind of fun category for me. So
yeah, I didn't track that at first until you brought it up behind the scenes, and that just like kind of blew my mind. I was like, oh, this card's got application. This is kind of cool. But when you were like, because I thought, you know what, there are going to be times where you can't afford this in round one, and that really limits its use because you're not getting the benefit in round three. And if you're not able to reliably get it in round one, then you're really only getting it in two. But you're like, hey, you can score and put this down. Like that unlocks it for round one, and makes it this more reliable card that you'll actually probably bring into a deck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and it also pairs nicely with where we thought this deck wanted to be in that elite aggro area.
Absolutely. I think that the sort of like what's the hurdle that you really want to jump to make this card worth it? And it's essentially, do you heal usefully one time? Because if you do, then it's essentially Great Fortitude, right? It's giving you one extra health.
That's fair.
But it has the potential to be, an effective heal of 2 because you could get it in round 1 and then in round 2. So it's affecting the battles in a way that is pretty useful. As you mentioned, round 3 doesn't matter because like the game's basically already over.
I mean, really, because it's
after scoring, right? There's nothing left. There's nothing left to do. Like, yes, you get to heal, but who cares?
Yeah.
It's not amazing, but like if you think about it from the sense of like it's sort of an adjacent Great Fortitude, then it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
But it's not proactive, so it's not quite as good, right? You don't get to bump up your health in the anticipation of an attack. You have to wait. So I guess I'm up. There's a number of interesting ones here. I think I'm going to go to one that I can't quite decide if I like or not. And it is Murderous Instincts. So this is a 1 glory upgrade. It is this fighter's range 1 melee attacks, excluding upgrades, have Grievous. So you're getting a discounted great strength, but only for range 1, no weapons. And then it says this fighter cannot use core abilities other than the charge ability. So pretty huge downside there. So if you're using this in an elite aggro warband, you probably don't play this because you'd get it 1 time per round. If you're charged out, you can't activate that fighter again, which is pretty bad. But really cheap Grievous is scary, and I think there's a lot of warbands who wouldn't be too upset about having that. I think the question just then becomes what warbands that aren't super elite would want to take this deck, and then you have to try and figure out how to sort of weave those things together. But if you can, I think that there is plenty of room for a 1 glory Grievous upgrade.
I really dig that rundown because I hadn't even tracked that. Like, this deck is asking, for the most part, for you to bring an elite warbander along for the ride. But this card really limits what one of those fighters can do, and maybe hamstrings you to the point where you're in round 3 with 1 fighter left, but they've got Murderous Instincts on them, so you're not doing anything more with them.
Yeah, that'd be worst case scenario, obviously. So.
As a degenerate Slaanesh player, my brain immediately went to, hey, what if I vile temptation this onto somebody using Triceful Discord?
Feel real. How dare you?
Especially if you give it to somebody with range 2.
Exactly.
Yeah, they can't use it, but then they get the downside. Oh, jeez. I do like that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. But then you'd have to be taking this deck. I don't know if Thricefold really likes this deck, but they might. Some of these power cards are juicy for them.
They might. The tricky part is you generally are hoping to not charge with Vex more.
Yeah.
And this is asking for that, but
Yeah.
but maybe.
Anyway,
Well,
more upgrades?
yeah, I'll grab United in Anger. So this one's really fun. It's Rally Together is the ability on it. And this is an instant effect for you. Immediately after an enraged friendly fighter is pushed, you can push this fighter up to 1 hex closer to that fighter. And so, anytime that's happening as a result of the plot card, this fighter is, potentially getting good repositioning out of just the rest of your team getting attacked. And I think there's just a ton of fun application for this. There are going to be games where, frankly, it was more cute than good, and there are going to be other games where like this is monumental for you.
Yeah, I mean, and if you have your own pushes, then you're like triggering this intentionally on things. So that's pretty exciting.
Anything that doubles up your push cards is probably going to be strong. So
yeah. I don't think this deck is going to pair that much with blades, but this gets you extra value out of that Kenat push.
Oh, yeah. If he's already charged.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Who knows?
Very interesting.
Well, I think we do have to. We can't not mention Haymaker.
Yeah.
This is a 2 glory, a properly costed at 2 glory. This fighter's melee weapons, excluding upgrades, I like that, have the lethal weapon ability. After this fighter makes a successful attack with the lethal, discard this card. What does lethal do, you ask? It does the following. This fighter's weapon has +2 damage for the attack to a maximum of 4. So all kinds of good choices here where you can't, tack it on 2. You can't all of a sudden have like Burrowing Strike doing 4 damage out of nowhere. But this dramatically increases the damage that a fighter can do if you were only at 2 damage or less.
Your call out for good choices here, right? We're excluding it from upgrades, so it's a +2 that has to be on your built-in fighter profile, as you said. It's capped at max of 4 damage, so it's getting less value if you're giving it to somebody with 3 damage already. But hey, it's still bumping up to 4. Still an option for you. We're just making sure it doesn't bump up to 5. And it's discarded after successful use. And I love that for 2 reasons. One, it's only hidden once, and goodbye, it's getting discarded. But I also like that it's sticking around until it hits.
Yeah.
So you're not putting this investment in and missing an attack and then just watching it fall off that fighter.
Sure.
So you will get that use out of it as long as you keep attacking and can get one through.
Well, here's the third reason I like it is in this edition, if this breaks, then you get a refund. So this is hey, I got 2 glory. I'm going to use it to land the killing blow here, and I'm going to get that 2 glory right back to spend on something else.
Yeah, pretty spicy. I know we keep doing this, and I don't intentionally mean to, but I was thinking about this with blades, slashing. Nope, never mind. You can't do slashing and lethal. Nope.
Yeah.
Scratch that from the record.
Sure, but I mean that's a nice tool to have in the box. Hey, it's not time for finesse right now. I need to just kill.
I just need lethality.
Any one of those inspired will be doing 4 damage on an accurate attack with this.
It's pretty scary.
Yeah.
There's a number of warbands that are super, super accurate, but don't hit more than 2 damage innately.
Yeah.
They probably like this. It's a pretty scary upgrade.
Yeah. Anybody got any last ones to hit before we kind of wrap?
I guess I'll talk about Aggressive Ambusher. It's an interesting one. It says, this fighter is in... this is a 1 glory upgrade. It says, this fighter is enraged, Their melee weapons have cleave and ensnare if the target is flanked or surrounded. That is pretty interesting, having access to both cleave and ensnare so that you have the flexibility of using whichever one is best on just one card. But having to line up flanked or surrounded is not always super simple, especially for these elite warbands. So again, it's one of these cards where it's like, it feels like the deck's pulling me in this elite direction, and then you see something like this and you're like, well, maybe not. I don't know.
Especially for elite warbands that are using this deck, where you are going to get pushed away as soon as somebody
right? You don't
waves a stick at you.
So I guess if you have like pushes ahead of times that you can like push somebody adjacent and then charge. I don't know, but I like bringing cleave a lot, and having ensnare is still useful. It's just not as useful. So I feel like when you have to bring a whole separate card for ensnare, it sometimes feels bad, but this gets you both. So if you can figure out the other caveats, then it seems like a pretty good card.
Skylar, any last cards to hit here?
No, I think we've done a good job here. Striking my interest.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm good, Davy.
Oh boy.
I think the last one I wanted to mention, there's a weird choice. We talked about this a little bit. Angered Swing. There's a weapon in here. I always like to see weapons, but it's a weapon that, like, well, this is a weapon I'd want to see. Like, if I'm in that elite aggro thing, I probably am already rocking attack profiles that are this good or better. And so it's just kind of a weird inclusion, but always on the lookout for weapons for hordes. I think they've done a good job of not letting those get crazy in this edition.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Any last thoughts about either of these two releases, or about the trend of releases in general of late that we haven't already covered here, gentlemen? Phil, I'll throw it to you first.
I think we've already mentioned it, but the one thing just in terms of release trends that's kind of been bothering me lately is that almost every release we've had so far has skewed towards aggro, with the exception being Rack and Ruin. And they've almost all had plot cards, which means deck pairings are pretty limited. Especially because some of these decks with plot cards are like hyper oddball specific decks where it's like, what do you pair this with?
Yeah.
Like if you could pair this with some of the other stuff with plot cards, I think you'd have some pretty nice options. But since you can't, it's like, well, now I'm looking back to what doesn't have plot cards, and it's like, I don't really know. I don't know what you put this with. Like, we've talked a lot between Blazing Assault and Reckless Fury, and those probably work because it's just like, okay, aggro A plus aggro B equals more aggro, but I don't know. And I kind of hope that like this is maybe going to be the last plot for a little while, now that we've got like an even balance of, or almost an even balance of plot and not plot.
Yeah. Well, more than once, I have been thinking about this deck, and I've been like, oh man, I've got it. I got to tell the guys, I've got the pairing that's going to work with this. And I'm about to send the message like, nope, 2 plot cards. Never mind.
For sure.
Yeah. For me, the trend that is a little discouraging is this is the second Rivals deck in a row that has power cards that I'm like, oh, that looks really fun to play with. And here I'm in Skylar's lane with like United in Anger and Stubborn to the Bone, like cards that I just think will have some fun skill expression on the table. And those power cards are paired with an objective deck that I just don't want to have to deal with.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Word.
That's I'm not sure what's going on, but that's kind of where I'm at on those. So.
Yeah, and so I was thinking about the trend as well. So I think it's interesting that we all ended up tagging the trend here. But like you look at so if Underworlds is a product line that you're looking at, and you're thinking about it as this competitive game that's at Worlds, and that we want to add and inject variety to, and all that kind of things. Like it's weird to me that you look at the slate of releases and you plug in an aggro deck here, and I was trying to wrap my head around that, and I was thinking, when you look at the releases we've gotten, there's usually like a parody with the warband that's coming out alongside it. So Kamandora's Blades looking very aggro, being paired with an aggro deck. Knives of Crone before, being this mastery, manipulate cards warband, and then the deck doing something similar. Going back to Borgit's is when Edge of Knife came out, and there's enough fighters in that warband that kind of like you can see where like that can be drawn together. So it kind of seems like they're like maybe the warband is dictating what type of deck we get at that time. But even then again, like just thinking about like a release line, it's like, okay, well, maybe shuffle a warband down later, and put in like plug in a hold deck. Like we're starving for hold play.
So. For my money, I wonder if it's a matter of the sort of background, the fluff informing the deck so much. This Aqshy being the realm of anger and hot tempered and all that sort of thing. And I wonder if that kept on nudging the designers towards like, oh yeah, like they're so. I mean, you see it in the names: Reckless Fury, Rage, whatever.
Raging Slayers,
Raging Slayers, Rack and Ruin. Like they're all aggressive, and even if you read like Realmstone Raiders, well, the Realmstone, their rating is this thing that's making them extremely angry, like so angry that they go on guard. So
yeah,
dang it,
absolutely perfect.
So it's the realm potentially informing the picture. That makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, it's all speculation on our part, but it just feels weird. So fingers super crossed that a different play style is around the corner. For me.
And I think to your point of like, oh, this is designed as a competitive game, although they've kind of taken some of that moniker off of the marketing, so maybe they're less worried about that. But like, it is still being played at Worlds. Like, it is intended that there is a large tournament like base for this game, and from what we've seen, like the strategies and the play styles that are doing the best are things that revolve around pillage and things that revolve around cataclysm. And they're not really introducing anything to contest those decks. It's like maybe something new to pair with those decks, but like very rarely do you see anything where it's like, yep, we are kind of eschewing either of those decks because we now have this new option that like gives us tools that are on pair, but like doing something different. It's like, no, we're just sidestepping the issue and it's all aggro. And it's hard then to feel like anything's changing, because why wouldn't you take Cataclysm? Why wouldn't you take Pillage when they give you kind of a full suite of like good objectives, good upgrades, good gambits? Not like so much so that you wouldn't even want any other cards, but like you just need a few to supplement. And so then it's like, now it's starting to feel a little stale, right? Where it's like you keep seeing in the top of the meta, it's those two decks. It's a lot of warbands that use those decks to good effect, and then sprinkle in some aggro competition from like Jaws and Gore Chosen and Thricefold. And
and with so many plot cards, it's limiting to the mad scientists out there who might like discover something like, hey, there's actually something. Well, no, I like with this, I still have the same 5 other choices that I had when Realmstone Raiders came out. To pair it with, and that's that. The case. Go ahead.
The power level of these decks, they like nothing stacks up to the first 4 that we got. Like I feel like there are those that get close, and I think Reckless Fury, is hanging out there with Forsaken cards, so maybe, an exception to the rule, but for the most part, it feels like those first 4 decks like are untouchably strong, where like you're always bringing at least one of them. I don't feel like any of the new decks are like enticing people away from the core box.
Yeah,
I think I agree with that pretty strongly. Rack, I think, is like the next best deck they've released, and you usually pair that with something from the core box. So,
yeah.
But there's always some hope that the next release, flips the script. So, fingers crossed for me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, hope is always available, but it's starting to feel more like a trend of like, okay, we get another, like all these separate releases. Like, so like, are we just going to keep getting plot card decks? Like, I really hope not. I think we need something else. But if the idea is like next time they release a big box, there's going to be 4 decks without plot cards, maybe they have to do all these plot card releases, because if they don't, there's like not enough balance. But I don't even know if that's a good consideration. Just
right. And how long until we turn that corner too? Like I can be right. Hopeful that the next release turns the corner, but I'm here with Raging Slayers. That is a deck I'm not personally thrilled about. So it doesn't change the game much for me. So I'm sitting here waiting for the game to have this injection of variety. And like with this release, that wait grows a bit longer for me.
Right.
Yeah. Right now, a lot of the variety that I am exploring is on warbands more so than decks,
Same. Yeah. Just try new warbands just because, like, just to have fun with it. Because, like, could keep playing the same thing over and over again, but, like, how long? Right? Like, am I just going to be playing Gits for the next year? Like, don't think I want to do that.
I am.
Well, you're going to be playing against them, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And so with this release window, like I am pleasantly surprised at how much I'm interested in trying out Kamandora. Like I think that they do inject something interesting as a warband, and so I want to try that out. I'm hoping they're not too fragile.
That was Brian's take. That was that they were just a bunch of wet paper bags. So we'll see.
Coming from playing Hexbanes, they look pretty sturdy to me.
Well, yeah, Brian's also coming from playing from playing Gardeners, so
yeah, the literal brick wall of warband that you literally can't score Annihilation against.
That warband has forever skewed like his defensive opinion.
Yeah. He might not be wrong though, because I think in the 2 games I played, I collectively had 1 fighter left. I was wiped in one, and I had 1 fighter left in the other. So,
yeah. No, it sounds about right.
Yeah, but yeah.
Well, all right. I had a final thought on Galista and Krast here.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that like they showed up to perform a task, right? And that task was, hey, lose the lips, right? This is a professional, this is a professional warband. We need the lips gone, right?
Loose lips sink ships, and there's one way to be sure about that. So
exactly. And Galista was like, okay, I'm going to take my time with this. I'm going to look nice and tidy. I'm going to look presentable. Like I take this warband seriously. And Krast was like, I'm gonna pass. Like it's gonna be a passable job because I'm too eager to spend any time prepping. I need to get out the door. Like, does this count?
Oh boy,
this is good enough, right?
I hadn't thought about this, but not having any lips, almost none of their names can actually be pronounced. Especially Kamandora, like the M sound and the N sound almost require that you have lips. So,
that's amazing.
It's gonna be weird, but
yeah, who knows what their names actually are?
Yeah, there you go. That's why you come to this podcast, folks.
Yeah.
The
The
blazing
linguistic
hot
observations.
takes.
All right. Well, we're gonna be at you with some more blazing hot takes next time. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can. Best place is to talk to us on the Discord, but we're very happy to get an email from you. It's whatthehexcast@gmail.com. You can check out all the content from our network at themortalrealms.com. Thanks one more time to GW patrons and any of the listeners. GW, of course, for providing the content to make this possible. Patrons for the funds to help us do this without being just a total drain. And the listeners for just interacting, because that's honestly like the most invigorating thing is when we hear from folks, even if it's not like, like, oh, you guys are awesome. Like just that back and forth, hearing your ideas about it is really kind of probably one of the best parts of doing this podcast. So
Absolutely.
Appreciate you. Coming up next, we've talked about some of our sort of top 5 possible coverage. Who knows? I wasn't expecting this warband, so maybe there's another one right around the corner. And I wouldn't hate getting some coverage of the WTC stuff. We just have to. It's always tricky when we have to figure out interviews and such because there's schedules. But we'll see.
Shout out to Team Italy though.
Oh yeah, man.
They are impressive.
They are. It was cool to see a picture and be like, I know those guys.
Yeah, same. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're still excited for your flavor text quiz because here it comes. When I pick these, I either pick them based on the title, like it's a title, a name of a card that I really want, or a quote that I thought was that you'd be excited to go. I'm going with the former of those. This is an appropriate title here, which means that quote is actually going to be a little difficult. I will say it's a card that somebody called out during this coverage. So the sparks of fury can quickly set other souls ablaze. They need only be allowed free reign. ... Which, given this deck, could be like literally any card.
Yeah, it certainly could.
I have an idea. Okay, there's a theme in there. I have an idea.
Yeah, go for it.
Is it United in Anger?
Boom, he got it. All right.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's because we're united in anger at this objective deck. So,
not wrong.
I had memorized exactly one card's flavor text, calling my shot that it was going to be the one you picked. And it was not.
Oh, okay. What did you think I was picking?
I thought you were going to pick No Respite.
We didn't talk about that one.
Very close.
It's a very cool quote.
Yeah. Here. We won't leave the listeners in suspense. It is, doesn't matter how large you screech, beastie, the garden will grow. Come now, be as the loam. Yeah.
Ooh, I love that quote. I think I mentioned on the blog, I'm not sure if this is correct, but I think it might be our first direct quote from one of the gardeners. And way to enter the arena with a nice one. So.
Yeah.
Pretty metal. I like it.
Yeah. Speaking of metal, we are going with the following for your recommended listening. This is Season in the Abyss by Slayer from the album of the same name. So
nice.
For What the Hex, I've been Davy.
I've been Phil.
And I've been Skylar.
The Raging Blades. What is it? Kamandora's Raging Blades and Kamandora Blades. Oh boy.
Yep.
Kamandora's Blades.
Kamandora's Blades.
Raging Slayers.
There you go.
Got in one.
With the magic of editing, anything is possible.